And hello, everyone, and welcome back to What's Your Mess? Mental, Emotional, Social Status of Life. I am your host, Tracey D. Armstrong, and today we are going to journey into the life of another special guest. And before I let this guest introduce themselves, I just want to remind everyone that this is not just about their stories, but it's about the triumphs and the resilience and the strength that they have shown to overcome their stories. So, our guest today, want to go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Tracey, for inviting me to the show. My name is Camellia Varnado. So I am a speaker, six-time published author, and I also have a podcast called That's Camellia Podcast, where I delve into some of these how-to questions about what we go through in our life episodes. How do you handle this, Camellia? What about this? Or have you ever been through this? So we delve into those type of questions, and that's what we address on our That's Camellia podcast. I speak about inspiring and motivating people. So my whole theme and brand is about causing a ripple in people's life. So most people say you want a footprint on a life, but I say cause a ripple. So think about a clear pond or lake. And it's so clear, Tracey, you can see your reflection in it. And it's smooth, right? But as soon as there any rock or any debris, anything hits it, it begins this little slow ripple. And you can see it from miles and miles away. Well, that's the ripple I want to cause in people's life, where you might not see me but one time. Your encounter is just one time. But I want to leave you where you're still thinking about what we talked about or thinking about what we shared. So that's what it's all about. It's about, I tell my husband, I say, I just want to change the world.
Yes. Feel you. That's my purpose. I'm like, I just want to have a positive impact on people's lives. Like I'm
Right.
listening to you and I'm like, yes, I was just talking about the ripple effect the other day, how it doesn't just go out, it also ripples down inside. So it
Yeah, yeah,
goes
yeah.
below the surface and out. So you are having an impact not just on the surface, but you're having an impact on
Yeah.
the inside of people's lives too. Oh, this is
Yeah.
gonna be exciting.
Yeah. 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 It runs deep, baby. Runs deep.
So I'm already excited. So that's where you are now.
Mhm.
Let's go back. Let's talk about what is one of the messes in your life that you've gone through that you'd like to share with us today.
So the one I want to share today is because also we're dealing, March of Dimes races are going on all over the country now. Is at times probably about 15 years ago. I was pregnant at how old was I? 36. 36. So later, later pregnancy, what the doctors might call high risk.
Hmm.
Um, it was ordained to me, but was pregnant at 36. Tracy, I had no issues. I was having this really good pregnancy. I mean, I was, kind of big. I was, round. Imagine like at least 40 more pounds on me, 40, 50. My husband would probably say closer toward 50, but uh gained a lot of weight, but it was still healthy. No health issues, right? So my oldest, wait for it, is 32. She's 32 now. So I have a 32-year-old, but at the time that I was pregnant, she was only 17, getting ready to graduate high school. So I was at a track meet. At a track meet, still no concerns, pregnant. So I'm going to the bathroom. I'm like, I gotta, relieve some pressure. So I go to the bathroom, had a little bit of discomfort, but didn't think anything of it. Came home that same day, was just trying to get some relief, took a shower. My husband was cooking dinner, frying fish. We was getting ready to just eat, right? And I was still very uncomfortable. So my middle daughter at the time, Sydney, was 8. So I had 3 girls. It's a family of all women. My husband is truly the man of the house. So my middle daughter, Sydney, she's like, "Are you gonna be okay?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be fine." And then no more than an hour hit, Tracy, and I was just like, nope, We got to go. Oh yeah, this is something else happened. So I was only 5.5 months pregnant. So by the time I got to the hospital, the doctor's like, okay, let's just try to see if we can stop the contractions. All right. They didn't stop. And then it got to the point where they said, okay, well, let's see if we'll give you a little something to, to try to help you to stop the contractions and everything. And then when they checked me, they said, nope, baby's breech, we're going to surgery. So I come from everything's good to all of a sudden 5.5 months pregnant. And it's like, we're having a baby. So at that time, we had nothing. Me and my husband, of course, we knew we were pregnant, but we didn't have any of this prepping of the bed and the clothes. We had nothing, absolutely nothing. So it was, wow, just reliving that moment. I was thinking, 5.5 months pregnant, the baby is not completely developed, and I had no medical issues, and all of a sudden I'm being rushed to an emergency surgery. I remember reaching my hand over, telling my husband, call Mo. She's my prayer partner. I said, call her, call the church. And that's all I had time to do. Because after that, my husband will tell you the doctors literally swooped me away. They had time to say, we're having a baby, and a couple of seconds of me saying that, and they was gone. I came back out. We had a baby, 1 pound, 11 ounces. She fit in my hand. Size of a pad, right? A maxi pad. That was her total length. So she came out 1 pound, 11 ounces. Her eyes were still sealed shut. Skin still translucent, still see through it. And I'm still like in a whirlwind of like, wait a minute, what's going on? What's just happened? And the first conversation me and my husband have with this doctor was every negative thing you can think about. Baby might come out brain dead, might not hear, might not see, might not walk. No bedside manner. None. And I kind of zoned out after a couple of bad. I'm just like, right. And my husband said, so what's the good news? And the doctor said, well, I just had to make you aware of the possibilities of all of this. Still, he did not share any good news. We left that room, went to the NICU. So when we went to the NICU, this neonatal area, and that's why I want to highlight, is because mentally, I was still numb to the fact that I just gave birth to a child that I haven't seen yet. And two, all I have is the doctors telling me, oh yeah, she might not make it. So I'm like, I'm numb, so I'm not saying anything. All I could say is because I was born and raised in the church, my great aunt, grandmother's mothers always used to have this hymn, nothing is too hard for God. And our God is an awesome God. He reigns. And that's all that could come out of me, because I am a firm believer in what you keep on speaking, you are going to end up living. So I just kept praying. I kept singing that. My husband was singing that. And that was the first day, Tracey. So the first day I'm just numb, just kind of because life, the ebbs and flows of life sometimes will make you quiet. And I think sometimes we have to think about the next thing that comes out of our mouth in that hard situation. Because remember that ripple that we just got through talking about? What do you want your life to follow? So even though I'm numb, I'm still mindful of the fact that, okay, I'm not putting death in the atmosphere. So our God is an awesome God. He reigns. Mentally, I'm trying to pull myself out of this dark hole where I was. because at the time, even though I'm married and my husband was right there with me, but it was something in me as a mom that I'm still trying to grasp and figure out where to go, what to say, and to pull myself up out of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next day, Tracey, that same doctor, well, me and my husband are going down to go see our daughter for the first time. The doctor says, well, she is doing remarkable. That's the word, remarkable. She's doing remarkable. It's amazing. I took this sigh of release, like, now it was nothing. The sigh of relief was not about what he said. The sigh of release is about where we start praying and got everybody in at the church. At the time we were going to the Potter's house, so we had everybody praying for this little girl, who her name, God told us her name too. Her name is Charity.
Mm-hmm.
Love. It still warms my heart how when we invite God into the details of our life, oh my gosh, that's all. I mean, it's like, as a parent, just tell me about it. Let me help you.
Yeah.
Let me help you. But you know I can help you, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so the next day, the same doctor who gave the bad report came back and gave a good report. And even in that, she was still a pound and 11 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a long road because she still had to stay in the NICU for 2 months. So they try to keep him in there as long as that you would have been in the womb, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's still a dark place for a mother, in my opinion, because I just had a baby. I'm not going home with her, and she's still at a space where I cannot touch her.
Yeah.
And she got tubes coming from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, head, stomach, feet. I mean, it's just tubes everywhere. And I walked into that NICU one day and I was wavering because I was just like, Lord, she looks so small. She's so small, so helpless. All I can do is pump. All I can do is, and when you have a premature,
What
wait,
can I
right,
do as a mom? You're at what can I do as a mom?
right. And the NICU nurses, bless, oh, these NICU nurses were amazing. They kept encouraging and bringing me out of just that dark spot that you can get in where you like, I can't help. And it's like, yeah, the best thing you can do is pump that milk. We need that milk. The babies need that milk. Not just not formula, nothing against formula, but
Nope.
that breast milk, that's what the
Yep.
babies need.
Yes.
And that touch, that is, they
Yes.
call it a kangaroo hole, where you just skin to skin.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked into that NICU one day, and it was if you know, the little incubators that they have them in, little square incubators with all these tubes and everything, look like a little picture that you see on a movie or something. But I remember seeing God's hand. It was like this big old impression of a hand right over the whole incubator.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that was my hope that God's got it. And from that moment on, I started on this incline of, okay, she's okay. She's okay. I'm okay. Wait a minute. I'm okay. Because I had to realize I needed, the NICU nurses were doing their thing, trying to encourage me and all that, but I needed to know within myself, okay, so what does this look like? And like I say on my show, well, unpack this for me. I didn't see what it looked like after the NICU. So, but the blessing thing is, though, with Charity, she had uh the last thing that opened with her eyes. So she was born with her eyes still shut.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also the last thing that started to move around. So she started getting colors, eyes still sealed. Her eyes opened, and it was the most beautiful thing to me. But my husband said she looked like a bug. I was like, no, she didn't. She just looks beautiful. I was like, He said, nope, only a mother's love. Because that she did not even I didn't even know what she was gonna look like.
Because you can't tell. Because
Right.
the picture hasn't fully developed.
Right, exactly. I say, no, she's so beautiful, right? So everything that you would think that would premature babies would go through, she didn't go through any of that. Like because when she came home with oxygen and a heart monitor. She had all of that. So the first 2 years of her life, of our lives, was filled with doctor's appointment, heart doctor, lung doctor, eye doctor, ear doctor, primary doctor, speech doctor, development doctors. It was filled with it. And all of that was coming from these NICU nurses who was like, you need to make sure you do this, do this, do this, do that, all the follow-ups. I am like a champion of NICU nurses because they really do know exactly what to say, and they're equipped to help mothers through that dark spot. Because although Charity was born at 1 pound and 11 ounces, there were babies that weighed a lot more than she did who were still considered premature who did not make it.
Yeah.
So it is a huge blessing starting from a mess because I wasn't supposed. They still don't know. I went to my doctor several months after having Charity. So tell me what happened. I don't
Right.
understand why I had no signals, no nothing, and they do not know. So it's just documented in my file where we could not determine why she came. Well, I mean, God knows why she came. She
Mm-hmm.
needed no surgeries, no nothing. Just kind of went through that whole 2 year process of just making sure everything was working and growing like it should be. She was developing like she should be. That same baby that was born at 1 pound and 11 ounces, the size of my hand, now is like 15 years old. Beautiful girl. She's an artist. She has state nominated art. She's won so many different contests for her art, and her eyes was the last thing that opened. Isn't that
Mm.
something?
Mm.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
I'm just gonna tell you, as I'm listening, this is your story and this is yours, but this is so for the listeners out there. This is our first time interacting. And
mm-hmm.
I did not know that that's what your story was going to be. And as I'm listening, see, you don't know because my daughter was born premature also. And as you're talking about the incubator and the tubes, and I'm visualizing, my daughter just turned 20 this week. And as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I feel you. I'm sitting up here like, she had the
Mm-hmm.
tube, and
Mm-hmm.
then she had to be on the ECMO machine where it like did the blood transfusion and things because
Oh wow.
she went through all of that. And as I'm listening, I'm trying not to cry over here because I'm thinking back and I'm thinking about how good God was and the grace. And as you're talking about the touch and the all you could do, this is your story. However, I'm just like, okay, God. And her name is Trinity. And
Oh
so, and I'm like, okay, this is
yeah.
space for us to meet and be able to talk and have this kind and for you to share because I'm literally, I don't know if you can see me nod, and I'm like, I know exactly the feeling and exactly where you were mentally and emotionally. Like, I don't even have to ask you those questions because
Yeah. Yeah.
I already know. And anybody
Yeah.
that's listening and that's watching, they know exactly that feeling
Yeah.
also. But this is what I would want to ask. I want to ask you this. If there is anyone that's out there listening or watching, the audience, what would you tell someone that might be going through this right now? What would your advice be?
Oh, oh. My advice, and let me address the part too about why I picked this story. Any podcast that I go on to interview, I always seek God and say, well, God, what do you want me to share? Now, there's limited times that I have shared the story about Charity, how Charity came about. But when he gave me that, I was like, oh, okay. But when you just confirmed it, when you said, because I was thinking, I don't know, but hey, okay, I'll just do what you told me to do. So, hey, this is divine, y'all, okay? So whoever's listening, my advice, I will say, and this is another thing that I learned from going through that, is that it's very important to not verbalize with our mouths what we see with our eyes, because sometimes it can be deceptive. What I was looking at with Charity in that incubator, it wasn't life. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what was happening to me when I went into emergency surgery. I had never had an emergency. I had never been in the hospital besides having my first child. So to be all of a sudden whipped away, and that's a major surgery. A C-section is a major surgery. So she was breached. So, I mean, they literally had to cut me. So I was just like, I was very intentional about what comes out of my mouth. I need to make sure it's of faith. So I would encourage anybody, before you just start running your mouth about and repeating all of the negative, the dark things that are out there, and that sometimes happen, right? No, and bad things do happen to good people, but how we handle them and how we address them matters. Just because it's bad does not mean that you just follow suit and say all of the bad things and just do all. No, it doesn't have to be that ripple. No, what it could be is you could choose to change the world and change it from that moment on by what you say out of your mouth. With me and my husband, we were in agreement. We just start singing hymns. When I grew up in the church, Tracey, we used to make fun of the mothers and the aunties, at the church. They wore the white and they would just sing and they would just rock, all that. We made fun of them, Amazing Grace, all that. Girl, today, now, look, living a little bit, now, oh, Amazing Grace will tear me down. Oh, it will tear me down, because now I know. I'm like, oh, this is that borrowed sense. I ain't got tired of buying, because they get experiences. They get expensive. But when you just rest upon that borrowed sense, that borrowed faith of just saying, you know what? God has got this. He got it. He got it. So my advice is to make sure that what you want to happen, that's what's coming out of your mouth. That's not negating what's really happening in your life. That's your faith speaking. Because when you start speaking it enough, guess what? You start believing it. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. And I would say pray. The foundation. I think everybody needs something that they believe in. If you don't believe in something, you're going to believe in everything. have something.
That will be a caption, for real.
Right. Right. That's true though, right?
If you don't believe in something, you'll believe in anything or everything and anything that somebody says to you, because you don't have any belief for yourself to hold on to.
Right. And this becomes the journey of doing these ebbs and flows of our messes, when we come in and out, in and out, in and out. Well, what takes you in and out? It should be your faith. It should be that one foundation that, okay, I know. I just told my Charity, my 15-year-old, I said, you got to be convinced that God is madly in love with you. Do you believe that? I truly believe that. I used to tell people I am the apple of God's eye. Now, don't mess with me. I mean, that's what I became. I'm convinced, fully persuaded of.
Fully persuaded, yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't once you lived a little bit, you didn't been through enough. You're like, oh yeah, no, it's certain stuff that you won't even entertain. You're like, no, that ain't. And that in itself is a journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Journey to figuring out who you are, what you should take and what you shouldn't take, who you should be hanging around and who you shouldn't be hanging around. Come on, I'm talking now. Yeah, that piece. That piece.
And somebody out there is listening or watching, and they needed to hear that, because Most definitely being aware of who you are and knowing who you need to be around and who you don't need to be around. But what you said is realizing once the situation comes, what's the next thing that comes out of your mouth?
Yeah.
Because that will be a ripple effect, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And once it
Yeah.
comes out, you can't put it back in. You could try to, but it's out there. So you
Yeah.
have
You
to
can't
be
unsay
careful.
it.
Right.
You can't unsay it. That's the same thing with if any of your listeners who are married. If you're married and you and your husband get into a fight and y'all start fussing, coach, don't say it. It's so easy, right? It's so easy because when you hot, when you mad, Tracey, oh, it's on. Oh, boxing gloves, let's go. But it takes a
Zip
lot
it.
of, yes, discipline. Don't say it because you can't unsay it. You can't unsay it. Me and my husband, we mentor couples, and one thing that we always say is, do not give the enemy power over your spouse by saying something that they're gonna have to keep repeating in their mind, even though they forgiven you. They done. Y'all just kept on, went on, still going on with life. But when soon as something happens, the back of your
It's
mind, you like,
yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you did say that. I know that's how
I
you
remember.
feel. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember. Because it's
right.
still there.
Right. Right. So don't give people ammunition to fight against the person that you love. Don't. Regardless.
Mm-hmm.
You know how in family, I was five of us, five kids, so four girls and a boy. But you know how you get into it with your siblings, normal little fussing and fighting. But don't let nobody else say nothing. You like, you don't do that. No. I can do that, but you don't.
But you
You don't do
can't.
that. No. No, my mama raised us. You better take up for your sister and your brother, regardless. So,
Mm-hmm.
hey, that's why I think y'all always ought to have something.
Right. And
Yeah,
wow. And right there, that's two other messages
I
right
know.
there because you just talked about the husband and the wife. And even if you're not married, if you're in a relationship, if you're dating someone that you're really interested in, even in those
Yeah,
midst of disagreements, watch
yeah.
what you
You
say
say,
and close your mouth. Sometimes you gotta close because the thought gonna come, and when the thought comes, what do you do with it? Do you
yeah,
entertain it? Do you speak
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. That's exactly right. That's right. That's right, Tracey. That's right. We all have thoughts, good,
Mm-hmm.
bad, and different. We all have thoughts. But what do you do if you sit and entertain that and you start coming up with all these different scenarios and then you start speaking it, and before you know it, you're doing one of them. How
Mm-hmm.
about you say, nah, I doubt that. I doubt that. So to stop a thought, you got to open your mouth and say something because you can't be thinking about something and say something different with
Mm-hmm.
that thought still going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like
Facts.
it.
I like it too. and, and so this has been amazing. This has been
Mhm.
awesome. If someone wanted to, connect with you, do you have any ways of connecting, or any products, or any coaching, or anything that you do to support those that may be going through similar situations?
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So, anyone can reach out to me. Listen to my podcast. It's called That's Camellia Podcast. We're available on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where there's a podcasting platform. We're available on That's Camellia Podcast. That's also my handle on YouTube and on Instagram and TikTok. That's Camellia. Makes it easy. And
Awesome.
I also
And
do coaching, so life coaching. I'm available for individuals and group coaching in regards to procrastination. So that procrastination coaching deals with, stopping from getting unstuck, get you unstuck and help you on your way to that ultimate goal within a 3-month time period with self-discipline and commitment. So I offer that coaching as well to clients.
yes, you said procrastination. I had to put my head down. I'm like, oh, yes, getting unstuck, and when you know you don't feel like doing it, but you
Yeah,
need to do it, and you keep putting it off. Somebody,
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
connect some people
yeah,
with you. And what I'm
yeah.
gonna do at the end of the video, everyone, if you're watching at the end of this, I'll have all of her links and I'll have all of her
Okay.
information so that you can connect and you can support and you can get that life coaching that you might need so that you can
Yes,
get
indeed.
unstuck in your
Mhm.
life and be more prosperous and productive in the things that you need to do. I'm sure you can help them out.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Before we close, are there any last words of encouragement that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much. So the last words of encouragement I want to offer as what we've been talking about as a ripple. I want you to always remember to hope beyond what you see. What you see is subject to change, and it changes with how you think and what you say. So before you open your mouth, take a moment, sit with it, and then think about how you want it to end. And that's what you speak. And those are the actions that you take.
Yes. I'm like, yes, sit with it, but speak what you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
line, so aligned, so aligned.
I
And
believe
and
it.
and
I believe it.
so aligned. And I'm like, I know I'm trying to wrap. I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna wrap it up. But I'm just this is like so for real. Like those last words right there, those last words are great words of encouragement because that
Amen.
is fact.
Amen.
Fact.
Amen.
So again, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your testimony, for your
Amen.
talent, and everything that you brought to this platform. I really, really appreciate you and thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracey, for having me.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. So, everyone, as we wrap up another episode of What's Your Mess, I leave you with this powerful quote to take with you. If you want to be sad, keep thinking about the past. If you want to be anxious or worried, keep thinking about your future. But if you want to be happy, focus on the present day and be grateful for what you have. This is Tracey
Amen.
D. Armstrong. Have a good one, everyone.